So I got a lot of coil in that tubing. So I'm trying to straighten it out. That's one section of tubing that will extend between the radiator blocks. So I'm applying some warmth to it and just kind of massaging it. It's not going to be perfect, but the straighter I can get it, the better. In the middle part, I'm going to go ahead and put a bend in it just to make sure that I can come from here, wrap around, and go back in. I'm just working at it. So I got 18 of these I got to go through. Once I get them like this, then I can start getting them fed in. I got these kind of secured for now with that. These will be glued down. Okay, so I got all of these cut and straightened out. Murder on the hands. So I need to still have a way now to kind of hold these up so they're not all sagging down, but I think you can kind of get the visual now. So this will have water up to here, so water will flow in, split, come into these two channels, through these tubes, around, out, back into a splitter, and back up to the anodizing tank. So now you can kind of get the idea of how this is working. So the next step is to get this ready for glue once this is all glued together. And then I also have to figure out how I want to go about supporting these hoses so that they stand up a little bit. They're all a little different in length here because the holes that I drilled and reamed, they're all kind of different. I didn't set the stop on the milling machine like I should have, relying on tape on the bit instead. But it's no big deal. It doesn't have to be perfect, you know. There's plenty of water to go around. So I think I got plenty of surface area. And then what I've got is, this is the pump. So I got two of those, and I've got one pump which will circulate for this, and that pump will be hooked to a temp controller, so when the temp gets to 68, 69 degrees, the temp controller will turn the pump on, circulate the anodizing bath through here, back to the anodizing tank, and cool that down. Once it gets back to, 60 degrees, whatever I decide, then it'll turn off. The other pump will circulate the anodizing bath, the electrolyte inside the tank, and just keep it moving while I'm anodizing. So that's pretty much the deal. I'm not going to be ready for gluing today. I'm thinking maybe Saturday. It's Wednesday today. I have to think about how I'm going to glue this tubing in here, because if I just put glue on there and then push it in, it's just going to squish all the glue out. So I have to do a little thinking on how I'm going to make that work. All right, so I figured out what I'm going to do. I don't know if you can see real well, but I got a pocket drilled in the hole there. This is my test hole. So what I was originally thinking for these holes, in order to glue this tubing into the radiator block, my initial thought was inside the hole there, I would cut out a little pocket like that and then chamfer the tubing, and then when it plugged in, I'd have something like that. So that dark area is the tubing, and then the glue would fill in there. But of course, the problem is that, it's a really snug fit, and to get any glue in there, it's going to be really hard. It's just not going to want to go in there no matter what I do. So just gluing on the tubing and then pushing it in is not going to leave very much glue, if any. It's like I'm just going to wipe it right off. So I'm sure I'd get some glue in there, but it wouldn't be nice and full. So the idea is that I will partially insert the tube, not all. I'm not going to push it all the way down. I'm going to only get it started in the hole. Then I'll apply the glue in the pocket, and then once the glue is applied in the pocket, I'll push it down. And that'll give me a large amount of, a decent amount of glue. It'll be fully glued. With the tubing, I'll just, scruff it up a little bit, and that should help give it some extra surface area to hold. And then that's the size of the drill bit. And instead of using tape, I had to make a hard stop because this will grab and go much deeper than what I want it to. So I only want it to go that deep. So I made that hard stop and kind of glued it in there with super glue and baking soda, but it should be fine. And then I can, after I'm done, I can knock the thing off and that glue will come off. That's the goal for today, is I'm going to be drilling all these out, getting them ready for glue. I have one other thing that I'll need to make, which I'll show you later in the video. Of course, the plastic embeds itself inside there, so I got to pick it out before I go to the next one. Really hard to see. Yeah, that worked out really well, with the exception of having to pick the little chips out of the drill bit after each time, but that's pretty good. I'll give that a little deburr and that'll be ready to go. The other one, I'm just going to do off camera. Well, I had to order a few things, like this plastic strip. Got a bunch of it sitting over there. This, of course, will be cut down, and I'm going to drill holes down there so that it'll basically hold the tubes up. It'll support them and kind of keep them apart from each other, because they kind of bunch up at the end and they sag down, and that's not what I want. I want to be having them spread out and supported. Little problem is this is the center point. I'm not sure how I'm going to glue that to there. I'm probably going to have to create a bit of a base for this to sit on. I'll have to think about this, how that's going to go. And then I got this really, really long heat sink. So this is all going to sit in the mini fridge. This is definitely, I'm pretty sure, going to be too tall. So I'll have to cut it down a bit, but I'm going to keep it as tall as I possibly can. There will be a little electric computer fan that will be blowing the air around. The deal with this is to aid in cooling the water as quickly as possible. And I might get another one of these just to have two in there, because as it stands, this isn't really that conductive. So we're talking the surface of the water will be taken on, most of the cooling from the air circulating around. This will get hit with the air and transfer that cooling deep into the water. That should help quite a bit. So the next step is to prepare for gluing these blocks. They have to be laying flat down. So these blocks will have to be laying down when I glue them because otherwise the glue will run out. So I am going to have to glue in 2 stages, unfortunately. I got 2 nozzles in the glue, so we'll have to make them count. Almost there. Got a little bit of planning to do, a little bit of figuring out, and then we can go forward. So this is what's going to hold the tubing. I've marked it off. Got 18 holes I got to drill and ream. That's the water line, and then I'm going to cut it off right about there. So I have this piece done, drilled and reamed. You can see the tubing is fitted, and this will keep the tubing, as the tubing loops around and where it's going to sag, this will keep it from sagging, keep a separation, support it. And shocking as it may be, that was my 3rd attempt. I know, you're all taken aback. Can't believe it, but yeah, it's true. So this was the first mistake, and as you can see, my drill holes are extending where they should have gone, and I measured and realized that this is not going to come out right because I had 18 holes. There's 18 holes here, and well, as you can see, that's the water line. So those tubes have to be between the water line and the bottom of the bucket. So yeah, I would have run out. I wouldn't have been able to make a full 18. This one came out, I somehow messed up. I don't know what I did. I started with this hole first, and I ended up going all the way down to here, which was lower than what I should have. It should have ended like that. But I figured, that's fine. It's not a big deal. The tube will go in there, no tube, water can go through there, whatever. But then I went back here and I had to drill that, which was fine. But what I did wrong was I took it out of the milling machine and I hand reamed all of these holes. So those tubes, when I test fitted them, let me see if I can prop this up here. As I was test fitting them, the tubes were sitting in at an angle in all the holes. So when I had hand drilled it, I hand drilled it crooked, or hand reamed it. I hand reamed it crooked. So I had to scrap that because I need them to be nice and straight and square. So this was the 3rd attempt. 3rd time's a charm. I usually don't make mistakes and have to repeat myself like this, but I had the extra plastic. Thankfully, I didn't have to order more. So there it is. It's all done. I am at the point now where I can start gluing, so everything needs to get washed up really well. And then we'll start gluing stuff together. So I've got everything ready to glue. I re-cleaned these radiator blocks, and I went in each hole with a bristle brush, cleaned it real good with dish soap, let it dry all day. I cleaned the threads on these. I didn't clean this because none of this is going to get glued. This is just going to hold up the plastic tubing. The glue is the Infinity Bond, Infinity MMA 500. They have different glues for different plastics, but this is for the polyethylene plastic. So the first gluing that I'm doing is going to be the tubing into here, and I have to have these laying down. Well, I'm gonna do these first and then put my tubing in. It has to be laying down, and I'm also going to do a test gluing in that hole there. So when it's dry, I'm going to see how much it will take to pull out, because I don't want to have to do it to one of the holes. Glue thing here is pretty interesting. It's really nice quality. So you've got this pusher stick, and so on the back you've got this little thing that releases that lever, and this only goes in one way. See the little doohickeys there? And so that's how that fits in, like so, and then this is going to go and plug into here. And then this also has a nice cap so I can reuse it, because once I use this tube, this nozzle here, it's done. I can't come back to it the next day. It's throwaway after that. And then and I believe you can use this on other glue things that are like this, other two-part adhesives you buy. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward, very high quality here. I mean, this is really nice. It's heavy. It's not cheap at all. And one thing I really like about this is right there, made in the USA. Take that, China. So just go ahead and load that up. So I got some scratch pad. So I got some scratch pad, or whatever you call it. It's mild, and I washed it really good before I decided to use it. And what I'm going to do is on the tubing end is I'm just going to do that, and then that should give me some scratches on there, give me some little some surface area. Kind of hard to do in front of the camera here, but I'm going to go through all the tubing, so when I glue these holes and I push this in, the hope is that, see, because I'm going this way, the lines are going around, I'm going to trap some of that glue on here, so as I push it down into the hole, because it's such a snug fit, hopefully I'll trap some glue into the snug part. But as you can see, I've still got the wide part, which is going to hold the majority of the glue, and I still want to have surface area on there because this is such a small piece, so I want to give it as much surface area as possible for the glue to hold on to. So I gotta do all that on all the pieces of tubing and kind of see how this works. I might have to go to a rougher piece. So I'm going to work on that a bit. It's boring. I'm not going to video it. I'm just going to get it done. Well, here I go. I'm ready to glue. Did a little test to make sure I could get in all around there, and I can. So I don't have these all the way pushed in. So I'm going to go ahead and get the glue in the little wells, and then I'll push the tube in. I'm going to start here with the little pipe fittings, and then I'm going to end up here. There's the separator. That doesn't have to be glued. So there it is. The glue starts to set a little faster than I would have liked, and it looks like it foams a little bit. I don't know how well I was able to get it down in those pockets. I probably should have drilled larger pockets, but with that foaming action, I think, and then plus pushing it down, I think it got in there just fine. Not the prettiest, but just need it to work. There's my test. I'm going to give this a couple days and then I'm going to yank on it and see what I can do. Got those sealed in, so hopefully this glue does exactly what it's supposed to. And then after it's dried, we'll start adjusting this, getting it figured out where it needs to go. And the next step after that glue is dried tomorrow, I have to rough up the bottom of those, and those are going to get glued into here. So almost done. It's pretty strange how that glue is setting up. So I'm gonna give this till tomorrow, but you can kind of see how it's shaping up pretty good. Hopefully this glue works. I did my little test piece here, and I'm gonna attempt to pull this apart in a couple days. I'm gonna give it a good couple days to dry. And then we'll see, but there's nothing in here that's really going to be high pressure that'll, pop one of these lines out. And the fit is snug enough inside here that I don't think that any of the anodizing solution is going to leak anyway. So I think this will be fine, hopefully. So it's the next day, and I think this stuff is as hard as it's going to get. It's not rock hard, but I went ahead and I roughed up the bottom of these surfaces here. It's really hard to see. And then I went ahead and roughed up the areas where they're going to be glued. I washed it real good with dish soap, and then I followed it up with a cleaning with military grade alcohol, and the military grade is like 99.9999999% pure alcohol. It's really super dry stuff. So I'm going to set this outside, let it get good and dry. Any surface moisture being held in there will be gone. I'm not going to put it in the sun, but it's hot enough out that this should be nice and dry even in the shade. And then I will be gluing these down, and I will be using these long clamps to clamp the towers down and hold them, and then that's where they will sit until tomorrow. I've still got this block. I'm going to give it, probably till next week sometime before I test it, try it out. But again, I think this is going to work. So far, what I'm seeing is doing what I had expected. So I think we're good. All right, it's Saturday evening. I haven't had any time in the shop today. I've been doing yard work in the front lawn, but so I've tried 3 separate times to pull this out, and the third time I tried so hard I pulled the muscle in my arm. That's how hard I tried 3 times, and this thing did not budge. So I think this glue pretty much lives up to exactly what it claims and does exactly what they claim it does. I use quite a bit. It's almost all gone. So I think we're going to be fine. You know, my biggest concern really is these towers breaking free, but after what I just tried there, I don't think that's going to be a problem either. So tomorrow or Monday, I got more yard work to do tomorrow, but tomorrow or Monday the clamps come off, and then I'm going to start installing this into the mini fridge. Once that's done, that'll pretty much conclude this video, and then it'll just be hooking up the plumbing, getting the pump running, and before I fill this with water, I will be doing some tests. The anodizing tank doesn't have any sulfuric acid added into it. In fact, I don't even think I put any water in the tank yet. But I'm just going to put water in the tank, then I'm going to test how this works, make sure there's no leaks, and once all that works out, then we will go ahead and activate the anodizing tank with the 30% solution, or make it 30% solution, 30% sulfuric acid solution, and then this will get water, and this will get cut to size, because I'm pretty sure this is a little too tall to fit in a mini fridge. And then next month I'm going to try to buy another one of these, or at least by the end of summer if I could have 2 of these sitting in here. You know, maybe not, I don't know, we're just going to see. But you know, like I said before, this is just an aid to help get the water to temperature quicker. So yeah, I think everything is going really well. That turned out really well. You can see the nice separation that we got going there. No clamps. Good and solid. Looks like it's gonna hold. So next stop is the mini fridge. It's a tight fit, but I can close the door, so that's how that fits. So I will have to drill through the top in 2 spots for the tubing to go out. And then I'm going to set a fan, a CPU fan back here to circulate the air. And I checked the heat sink, and it does need to be trimmed a little bit. It almost fits in there, but just not quite. So that's I think for this video that's pretty much a wrap. Past this, it's just plumbing everything together now.